Hello, my name is Jonathan Zachariou, and I'm running for the State Assembly for District 7. I was born in San Francisco in 1963 to Greek immigrant parents who came from Greece to California to pastor a Greek-speaking church in Oakland, California. After being here for 5 years and gaining their citizenship, myself and my brother and my parents were returned to Greece, and I did a lot of my growing up years in the country of Greece. I returned to the States to go to college, then went back to Greece for another 5 years post-college to help with ministry work in that country. My concern for what I see happening in the political environment, not only of our country but also of our state in particular, is that a lot of the things that are going on now politically, a lot of the promises that are being made, a lot of the rhetoric that is heard, a lot of the animosity that continues to dominate the discourse is keeping us from solving problems in many ways, just like it did in the political reality in Greece, beginning probably 25-30 years ago. The government of Giorgios Papandreou came in promising all kinds of perks for the people, promising that the Greek government had all kinds of money that it hadn't given to the people, and that if the people voted them into power, there would be money for all, that there would be a lot of social services, that there would be a lot of care taken for those who need care. And the people believed it. Well-meaning, good-hearted people believed the message, lent them their support, gave them their votes, and Papandreou's government was established and continued for many years, continuing to promise things that it never delivered on, making the other guys the bad guys, whoever the other guys were. Sometimes it was Europe, sometimes it was the United States, sometimes it was the opposing parties, and constantly keeping themselves in the place of power. Well, decades went by. Giorgios Papandreou gave up his seat to Simitis, and then Simitis gave the seat of power to the son of Papandreou, which is the one that most of us know, who was the last prime minister of Greece, who stepped down after the economic crisis. Greece didn't get to where it got to overnight, but it did get there because it believed, the Greek people believed politicians, believed in the promises that were made, and came up short, came up empty. Principles were violated, coffers and monies that had been saved for years were borrowed against and then emptied. Money that came from Europe for bigger projects, for land projects, for freeways and highways, was siphoned to places that nobody ever found again. See corruption. And in that process, Greece's economy has come to its knees, and then by extension, the Greek economy has affected the world economy. California's economy has been known as the 7th strongest economy in the world, just our state. And we are following the same principles that Greece was following in its economic plans and programs. We have to turn this around. California can't continue to have the kind of policies that are bringing our economy to its knees. Again, the public sector is necessary, and those who work in the public sector are needed, and they are precious to our community. But also, speaking to the public sector, the private sector needs to be unencumbered and needs to be released so it can produce revenue, it can produce capital, and it can produce employment. Not just jobs, but employment. Employment that will return us back to standards that we have known as Californians for decades. And it is time now for those who sit in power in Sacramento to understand that it is up to, not just, first it's up to the people and how the people will vote, but it is up to this California legislature to begin to create budgets that are realistic, stop promising things that cannot be done, stop borrowing against funds that should not be borrowed against, and begin to use some common sense to get ourselves out of our own financial crisis. California can do better, and if you would give me your vote, if you would lend me your vote and put your support behind me, I will do my best to bring a common sense approach to the State Assembly. The State Assembly is supposed to be made up of citizen politicians, people who come and give their input, represent the people, and then eventually at some point go home. Now with term limits, that is forced. But the idea of the assembly was to bring the voice of the people back into government. It's time that we do that. The story of Greece should not be our story. It cannot be our story. And we are all watching every week how Greece is in the news about how it needs to be bailed out and if it will survive. And if its economy, which is incredibly smaller than California's, goes, it will affect all of Europe and even our own economy. I've lived it, I've seen it. The rhetoric is exactly the same, except in a different language. This political language that we're hearing in our politics today is really, to pardon the phrase, it's all Greek to us. But I understand Greek. I hear what's being said. I've heard it before, and it doesn't work.